While plenty of those on the left whine, there's still nothing to see here. Hillary Clinton is weaving a very different tale suddenly about her email scandal. Slowly but surely, a few more drips and drabs emerge, and she's beginning to sound more like someone with plenty to hide. All you have to do is listen closely and hear the familiar beeping of a vehicle backing up just as fast as it can. That and plenty more. Let's unlock the gates to the political animal. He's the veteran GOP strategist who fears nothing from the left, Ford O'Connell, joined by the veteran Democratic strategist who fears nothing from the right, J.D. Gins. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us, and let's get right to it. Ford, Hillary Clinton taking, quote-unquote, responsibility for email use, saying, quote-unquote, it wasn't the best choice. Here's what she said. My use of personal email was allowed by the State Department. It clearly wasn't the best choice. I should have used two emails, one personal, one for work. Drip, drip, drip. How am I doing?
Well, Hillary Clinton is clearly now the master of the obvious. The polling data suggests that the email fiasco is actually killing her in the polls. And what it's done is it's opened up the possibility that Joe Biden could snatch the nomination from her. She's more concerned about Joe Biden usurping the nomination from her, though, than the email scandal. But you can't have one without the other.
Well, but we do have to remind us, and I know that J.D. is going to bring this in, too. Hillary Clinton still leads the Democratic race, 45% from registered Democrats. So, Ford, you and I can sit here all night and we can talk about this and drip, 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 but she's still getting a huge amount of support.
Yeah, she's getting a huge amount of support because no one else in the field right now can credibly win in a general election outside Joe Biden. You have to understand, before Joe Biden talked, there was no one else. She was the only game in town. Now everyone's worried, including a lot of Democratic donors.
J.D., I got to tell you, Ford makes the point here, because you cannot just sit there and tell us that nobody is worried here, because Sanders is making ground and you have Biden making ground. If he announces, it's going to be a whole new ball game here, and the left is going to have to think about where they go from here.
I think the left is prepared to have a real debate. Why should the 16 candidates and the clown car campaign of the Republican primary be the only game in town? Having a competitive primary on the Democratic side helps us organize our grassroots, helps us advance our message, and is good for turnout. The more people who are engaged in the Democratic base earlier, the more likely it is they're going to turn out in the general election. And right now, the Republicans have a hard time winning general elections and presidential elections. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Hillary is, I agree, kind of Captain Obvious. This was not a great idea, but she didn't do anything illegal. It wasn't outside the State Department rules. And right now, she's probably wishing she hadn't done that.
Can I also say this, though, J.D.?
Wait, 2 points. One, if you had a discussion with Martin O'Malley about how undemocratic your current 6-debate system is, you're having a coronation. Every time she says she didn't do anything outside the State Department, that's because she controlled the State Department. And frankly, the law doesn't matter if she sent or received them and knew whether or not they were marked classified. You guys are continuing to misdirect and deflect. Yes, Hillary Clinton's changed her tone, but she needs to update her tired talking points.
But misdirect and deflect, let's be honest, gentlemen, is exactly what candidates do at this time. Everybody is doing it. It's just a matter of fact that Hillary actually might be doing it better than anybody else, J.D.
It's okay for the Democratic Party to have our debates. I actually agree. I think we should have more debates. And I'm not in it. I don't think we should have a coronation. This is the office of the President of the United States of America. Nobody, not Jeb Bush, not Hillary Clinton, nobody's just entitled to walk into this position. And nobody should be surprised that Joe Biden wants to run. He's a sitting vice president. This would be his 3rd time running.
He's a sitting vice president, J.D., but let me get to you on this. Don't you agree that when Joe Biden starts talking issues and they start bringing up some of his past, he is not going to look as attractive once they start talking issues as he does right now sitting there waiting? Come on, you got to agree with that.
I think that people should not underestimate him. He's been part of the winning ticket the last 2 elections in a row. A lot of people want to say we're going to run against the Obama legacy. Obama was elected and re-elected. And just because some Republicans in the Republican base don't like Obama or Joe Biden doesn't mean that he doesn't have a compelling narrative, doesn't have a strong position to run from. And when the Republican Party is kind of potentially running another Bush on the ticket, having Joe Biden wouldn't be a big deal either.
But do you really think that anybody on the Democratic side, and Ford, I'm going to ask you to comment on this as too, J.D., do you really think, you just said that he was on the same ticket as Barack Obama, do you think anybody actually walked into the booth and said, oh, Joe Biden, bang, and come on, J.D., seriously.
I absolutely think he was a productive member of the team, and I think when people were wondering whether Obama had the chops to be president, adding Biden to it was a savvy move and made a big difference to the ticket. Absolutely.
Okay, here you go, Ford. Go ahead, red meat for you.
Joe Biden could actually win this nomination if he continues to show general election electability. Remember, the whole key to Hillary Clinton winning this nomination is the black vote. If Barack Obama backs Joe Biden, he pulls away that black vote. Hillary's wide but not deep with black voters, and if she gets Elizabeth Warren's endorsement or running mate, she pulls votes from Bernie Sanders. And guess what? This becomes a dogfight all the way to the end, just as it was in 2008.
All right, now I only got about a minute left here. Something I'm going to hit you with real quick. Hang on, I only got a minute left, and I want to get this in here. Cantor has said that he will endorse Jeb Bush. Now, that's big because he's very strong politically in Virginia. J.D. first, do you think this makes any difference whatsoever on the Republican side to give this to Bush?
I'm trying to remember who Eric Cantor is.
I knew you were going to say that.
So, no, I don't think it makes a big difference.
All right, Ford, anything here as far as this being given to Jeb? Any kind of push whatsoever?
The only thing that makes a difference for Jeb is whether or not he wins the Florida primary, because it's winner take all and 1/10 of all the delegates. Until that happens, this is all noise.
All right, here we go. Another one quickie. I got 30 seconds left. I'm going to hit you on this. Donald Trump basically said that you can go ahead and tax him more. He wants the rich to be taxed more. Ford, this is not what the Republicans have been saying. Isn't he going against the grain?
He's going against the grain. I want to see the substance of this, because when he actually talks about taxing hedge fund managers, guess what? That's a very populist message and very powerful.
What do you think about this little latest from Donald Trump, J.D.?
I think that the Republicans should certainly be supportive of our richest people in America paying their fair share. He's saying things that aren't conventional to anybody, and that's why he's rising popularity. Now, I think he should keep going, and we should have a celebrity TV star be who the Republican Party puts up. I'm for that. But I think why he's got traction right now is because he's saying things that are not, the standard talking points.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm fine with a reality star being it, but once we get the True Housewives in there, then I'm all done. J.D. Gins and Ford O'Connell, always a pleasure, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Now let's ask you a simple question here. Go to NewsmaxPolls.com, cast your vote here. Do you believe that Hillary Clinton actually did break the law? Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news continues.